Hey there, my 5 faithful listeners, and anyone who randomly stumbled upon this episode. My name is Lydia, and this is the Lydia Todd Pod. It's probably not a good idea to start a podcast because your last name rhymes with pod. But I'm here anyways. From spontaneous trips to special guests to deep spiritual conversations and everything in between, expect inspiration, stories, and plenty of laughter. Grab a glass of milk, settle in, and let's dive into the episode. Hey guys, it is Lydia. Welcome back to my favorite podcast. Haha. Welcome back to the Lydia Todd Pod, where we talk about really anything and everything that interests me. And this week, what I'm interested in is writing a song. I have been writing songs since I was 12, probably. I have voice memos going back to 2012 where I've recorded on my phone. I remember in middle school writing down songs in my notebooks. I would write down poems and songs that I would write, and they were really, really elementary, but it was a way to express myself. It was a way to just feel my feelings and write what I was thinking down. I don't know if this says anything about me as a person or my personality, but it's what I did. And I didn't really share them with anyone. I think there's maybe one poem that I ended up turning into a song that I shared publicly, but I've never sang or performed a song that I've written in front of people. I've performed other people's songs in front of people, but I have not shared my own creations by performing them. I am hoping to change that. I want to at least not let these songs just sit in my voice memos where they have been. It would be super fun to record a couple songs or finish them, bring them to completion, even just for my own benefit of getting to learn and go through that process of recording and getting to see the potential of my creative expression. I would love to release an album, but I don't know that that's happening in the really near future. It could happen in the next 6 months, a year. We'll see where this goes. But the first step would be completing my songs. So, since I'm in the process of that, I thought I would share with you how to do this. Because maybe you're in the same boat. Maybe you've written a couple songs, or you have written half a song and you want to complete it. You want to say, hey, mom, dad, look, I made a song, and let your whole family be proud of you. That is an honorable goal, and I want to help you achieve that. So, how to make a song. I got tips this week on how to do it. I reached out randomly to a musician that's a local one. I saw his reels of songs that he writes and was like, he looks like a very nice and reasonable man, so maybe he'll give me some tips on how I can do what he's doing. And I messaged him, he messaged back, and so now I have tips on how to write and complete my songs, which I didn't really expect. Normally, famous people or anyone with a check mark or more than a couple thousand followers don't reply, but this person did. So shout out to Ed Blunt. He is a musician in London, and I would recommend him as a person and as a musician. So shout out to him. Because of his tips, I'm able to share with you guys what I've learned about how to finish making my songs. I've been told that the hardest part of writing music is the lyrics, but for me, it's been the opposite. I have written lyrics easily since I was 12, but I've never been able to create the backtrack or the instrumentation that will go with the lyrics I've written. I even come up with the melody line. I just have not made the last step to complete the song. Some people write songs by first creating the track and then making the melody and then making the lyrics. And the way I'm doing it is the complete reverse. So if you're good at making tracks and stuff, maybe we should collab so that I'll write your lyrics and you write the melodies. If you are in the same boat as me, starting with the lyrics, then first step is going to be completing your lyrics. Even if you don't think your song is that good, it's not going to be anything until you finish it. If you only have one verse and a chorus, then try to complete the thought, the message of the song. Write out the entirety of the lyrics. Get it all on your paper. Even if you end up changing a couple lines later, just get the message out that you're trying to share in this song. Once you've completed lyrics, it's time to figure out how it's going to sound. What is the melody line that you want? For me, I always hear the lyrics in my head. Sometimes I create them as they're sung, so I already know the melody, but if you just have poetry, then you need to add a melody to it. Figure out the way that you want this to sound. Is there a certain style, a certain genre that you want? After you've got your melody and your lyrics, it's time to get the rest of the track. And this is the part that I've struggled with. I can hear it in my head. I know what I want it to sound like, but I don't know how to create that. I've written a couple instrumental pieces, or I've written sheet music for different theatrical things, but I don't think you're supposed to write a whole score for every song that you create. At least that doesn't seem to be what the famous people do who are writing songs on the daily. Surely that is not what the pros do. So I asked one of the pros, I asked Ed what he did, and his suggestion was he gave me a book to read. I will link it below. It is just a book for how you can complete your first song, step-by-step process. And it's got some helpful tips in it. I'll link it below so that you guys can look at this book and figure out if maybe you're missing part of the process of the lyric writing or of the melody making. And I'm surely not giving a pro step-by-step tutorial. This is just a general what do you need to make this happen list. And so if you want more information on that, read the book in the description below. The tips that I got were to first get a MIDI keyboard. So get a keyboard that has USB MIDI capabilities to plug into your computer and get an editing software. I use Logic Pro because I have the package that you get when you get Final Cut Pro, and so I'll probably just be using Logic Pro with the editing. You can use other programs. I know that Ableton is another option that a lot of people use, but whatever program you're going to use, make sure that you have access to that. Make sure you have a recording software. So if you have a microphone, then check, you're good to go. If you have a software like Scarlet Light, that's the one that I use to record my microphone into to go into my computer, and that processor is going to be what captures the stuff heard from the mic and puts it into the computer. And you're going to need something like that to record your song. Once you get the MIDI computer, the tip that he gave was to go through your song, the melody, the lyrics that you have, and go lyric by lyric, phrase by phrase, figuring out the chord structure that you want with each line. And most songs are around 4 chords, but you can have more, you can have less. Whenever you figure out the chords, get a piece of paper or some kind of online notation and write out the chord that goes with each lyric. Whenever you go to create the instrumentation, you know what chord it's going to be in. So you record the lyrics, notate the chord progression. Next step is try different percussive rhythms. You want to figure out what kind of percussion you want to go with the song, what kind of rhythms you want going in the background. It's not necessary yet to figure out the exact percussive instruments you want, but figure out the rhythms that you want in the song. The next step, step 5, decide rhythms for the non-percussive instruments and decide how heavy you want the song to be. Do you want a bass guitar playing the downbeat for every measure? Do you want the chorus to be heavier instrumentally than the verse, or vice versa, or maybe just a bridge, a big build, and then it kind of dies off and then it grows again? Like, figure out how heavy you want the song to be in each part, and figure out what rhythms you want to be playing. Do you want 5 or 6 different rhythms going on at once, or do you just want a simple one stroke chord on the downbeat of every measure? Step 6, once you figured out all the rhythms that you want, how you want the song to sound, then start playing around with the instrumentation. Start basic, use your editing software to add in different sounds. Start with either a acoustic guitar or a piano until you find out which direction you want it to go. And once you know the sound that you want your song to have, play around with different instruments until you find something that makes that sound. Maybe you want trumpets, maybe you want saxophones, maybe you want more heavy percussion. Figure out which percussion instruments you want. Do you want a hi-hat? Do you want a snare? Do you want hand claps? And once you have played around with a ton of different instruments, figured out the sound, and made whatever you're picturing in your mind to be what plays out on the computer, that is when you have finally constructed the entirety of your song. That 6-step process sounds a lot easier than it is. I know it's going to take a lot of work to figure it all out. Maybe that's why it's easier to start from the instruments and the rhythms and stuff and then work your way to the lyrics so that you have the easiest job at the end, or what I consider the easiest job. That's where I'm at. That's what I will be doing to create these songs. If you know of better ways to create songs, obviously there's the option that you can pay someone to do it, but if you want to make your own songs and you know of any easier tips, then message me, let me know. I'd love to include those in future episodes for other listeners, but this is the best I got right now. I'm glad that you got to join me on this journey of me creating music, and I hope to be able to share some of that music with you soon so you can see if this process ends up being fruitful. I will keep you guys in the loop. As Sarah Bareilles said, I'm not going to write you a love song, but I will be writing some songs, and I hope to share them with you soon. Thanks for joining in with me this week. I hope that if you're writing any songs, you will be able to complete them and share them with me soon. I'm really excited to listen to any of them that you make. See you guys next week, and I hope you enjoy this process of writing songs. As we wrap up this episode of the Lydia Todd Pod, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude for you spending time with me. This really challenges my belief that I only have 5 consistent listeners. If you have any thoughts, topics, or questions you'd like me to explore further on future episodes, please reach out on one of my socials. I hope that our conversations have brought you inspiration and joy. If you have friends or family who might be interested in our conversations, don't hesitate to share the podcast with them.